All right, everybody, it is a special edition of Conversations with Commodores. Of course, my guest needs no introduction. We've got a few minutes we're able to steal with Coach Clark Lea. Coach, we appreciate you making some time for us. Hope you're having a good day thus far.
So far, so good. It's like Groundhog Day here. So we're right in the middle of what will be a practice day, practice number 6 for us.
Excellent. Well, I hope I'm not going to talk too much X's and O's. That's for you and for those after practice interviews that you do each night. But really, I want to talk about just so many other things that are going on. You're now what I believe, I think this is right, the fourth former Vanderbilt football player to come back to school to be a head coach for the Commodores, and the first since my coach, Watson Brown. I know you're aware of a little bit of that history, but what does it mean to you now that you're head of the program where you're a two-time alum and having grown up down the street from the school?
I mean, it's special, you know. I mean, it's. I think there's an added sense of responsibility, and I think particularly with kind of where we're picking the program up, it's we need to. I mean, it's personal, right? We want to get this thing going. It's competitive on the field. It's competitive in the classroom. It represents the excellence of the university, and it takes every bit of my energy and attention every day, which is a blessing, right? I mean, I'm so grateful to have the chance. So it's a special feeling, but certainly I feel the burden of the responsibility too to want to make sure we get this right so that everyone can be proud of it.
Well, Coach, what does it mean to you to have former ball players, managers, coaches, just people associated with the program in years past to come by to say hello, to check out practice, to spend a few minutes with you and the team each day at practice or whenever it may be throughout the given weeks? What's that mean to you in the program?
Well, it means so much. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, you know, and I've been able to share this in some of those alumni events that we've held or we were able to hold this summer. But you know, this is a small campus, and you know, it's an intimate community. But our football community, I mean, we have 85 scholarship athletes, just like every other program. You know, we have a number of walk-ons, which I was a walk-on back in my day. And so the football community doesn't need to be small. You know, and to me, it should be the tightest knit and the strongest in the country. And so when former players, managers, trainers come back and watch practice, watch training, you know, get a tour of the building, it just fostering that sense of community. It means a lot to me. I can tell you, it means a ton to our players. You know, they can actually interact with and have a tangible example of their future success. It's just an extra added layer of support. And it's been really a fun part of this early journey for me. It's just trying to get that community connected around something again that we're all proud of.
Coach, I've heard you in several interviews over the last few months talk about being the steward of the program. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? What does that mean to you?
It goes back to that responsibility. Like, you know, this isn't about me. Like, I feel like I'm the caretaker of this program for so many people that care deeply about it. And I feel I want to instill that sense of feeling in our team too, to understand that, you know, this may be our moment to be here and to be responsible for it, but we're setting it up for people to come after us. It's just, again, it's just connecting with this idea that we don't have ownership over this program. We have responsibility here to take care of it over this length of time, whatever that length of time is that we're given the responsibility. And so we should cherish that and honor the opportunity.
You came on board officially in December. It's only been 7, 8 months. Probably to you, it feels like 7 or 8 years, considering how much you've done
It
and
does.
the tasks that you've been undertaken. I can say on behalf of many of us out in the former football players world, we've seen so many changes. We've heard you talk about the culture. We've seen the relationship develop like we've not ever seen between the administration with Chancellor Dearmeyer, with our athletics director, Candace Lee, and yourself. Can you talk a little bit about the change of the culture, as I've heard you mention before? I've got so many questions, I don't know really where to start, but I guess I'll start with the change of culture, if you will.
So I guess the general feeling or the approach to this is that results are the derivative of daily effort, right? So it's daily effort is kind of governed by our attitude. And what struck me, and I think we all saw this from afar to some extent, but what struck me in my first meeting with this team was just, I feel like internally we were spending so much time about the respect that we weren't given on our campus and outside our campus, and yet I didn't see a level of self-respect or we didn't value this experience the way that we should value internally. And to me, this has got to be the starting point, right, to an environment change is this idea that like we are responsible for the value of this program, and that's based off our level of care, our investment, our sacrifice. That's what actually makes this important and makes it meaningful. If we're not caring about this program, then why should anyone else care about it? And I would push that into the community too, into our football community, to say, one of the charges I have is to fight for this program every day, and we have an incredible alignment with leadership now. We have resources that are coming in, but that doesn't mean that there aren't battles to be fought, because we have to learn how to win. Winning is a byproduct of our procedures and practices. And so internally here as a team, the focus on the environment was started with just like, hey, what do we want to get out of this? What does being a part of the Vanderbilt football program mean to you? And how do we take that meaning and that care into our actions every single day? That's the start. And I think we're 7 or 8 months into that, into a process of turning the internal perception that's going to allow for us to have external confidence. And this is a long road, and mindsets are slow to change, habits are slow to change. But for me, this is about winning. This is about building something, creating something with these players that we're proud of. And that's going to require us being attentive to, again, all our behaviors, but certainly our language, our attitude, our mindset, and in particular when it comes to the value we place on being a part of this program.
And Coach, it's of course very exciting to learn about the new lockers in that environment. It's exciting to see the new uniforms. I suspect the players were all pumped up for all of that. I know we certainly what we've seen thus far, but I know that's only part of it. That's the exterior, and it appears from the way that you're shepherding the program, you're looking for certain particular traits in your athletes, your student athletes. And I guess my question would be, what are some of the things besides just pure athleticism? That's only part of the package. What else do you look for in that student athlete that will represent our school and our program and make us all proud, not just on the field, of course, but also off the field?
Well, we center in on 3 things as a program. This has kind of anchored our message from the starting point. The first is respect and appreciation. We have a sense of understanding or awareness, again, that we're stewards of this program, that we're to manage the internal perception, meaning, again, it's the value that we place on being a part of the organization, the university. We focus on leaving it better than we found it. Like that's important. That can be manifested in our spaces, certainly that new locker room. When I was leaving the building last night, players were vacuuming the locker room, right? We're going to take care of that space, because when someone enters it, they need to know how important, how sacred these spaces are to us. So respect and appreciation is something we talk about all the time. Leaving our relationships better, coach, player, coach, taking the time to work through things, because there are challenges. Half the battle for us is not the fact that we have a team that wants to win, or a team that wants to achieve. How we reach those results are important, but also particularly for 18 and 22-year-olds, there's this internal resistance, and maybe not even 18, 22. I think we experience this all of our adult lives, but there's this resistance that creeps in, that keeps us from seeing the opportunity that we have right in front of us. Right, we listen to ourselves more than we speak to ourselves, talk to ourselves, and so we spend a ton of time on making sure that the attitude of the program is correct on a daily basis. So respect and appreciation is the first thing. The second kind of concept we work around is this concept of the humble worker. And we spent the last couple of meetings on this as a way to just to really drill down on what it means. But certainly it doesn't mean that, we want to field a team that's walking around in, monk's robes and making ourselves small and reserved. I think one of the biggest things for me is wanting my personality to be imprinted on this team. And I'm someone who has a huge chip on his shoulder. I mean, my coaching career has been less about, a rise to prominence by being connected to a hot young coach that, I got, I'm not an offensive coach. That wasn't my training. We weren't scoring 100 points a game and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this has been more about like the becoming of a coach, the struggle for relevance, the fight for the ability to sustain a career. And I think through my adversity, I've been delivered to this moment, and that's a powerful place from which to coach. But it is, I think, because of my background and through this experience, insanely competitive, huge chip on, a lot to prove, and an intensity. There's an intensity about the way in which I go about my job and I approach my work. And that needs to be imprinted on this team. And so, the humble worker to us isn't about, being small or sitting in the corner or like not, I want these guys to have swagger and confidence. I just want that confidence to be anchored to what's real. So we spend time on the concept of humility, on how humility should shape preparation. Do we understand the magnitude of the task that we're trying to accomplish? Are we perfectly clear on what our identity is and what it isn't, and how we work in a manner that's going to deliver results that we want? We talk about arrogance, or this idea of confidence that's not anchored in humility, or that's not backed up by preparation. And we've all experienced that to a certain level. And so just trying to really hone in on what will make this the most dominant football program in the country. And that's the way we talk. That's the language we use in our meetings. But the humble worker is about a mindset around, I don't deserve this, I have to earn it. It's the opportunity is not the outcome, meaning like, to be at Vanderbilt in this moment is an incredible opportunity. What awaits you on campus, what awaits you in this facility from a standpoint of facilitating your development as a football player, but it is not the outcome. The outcome is about the effort that you put in to earn the results that you're going to get, both on a personal level and on a team level. And so, to me, that's so important to have that concept to beat back this idea of complacency. And then finally, we're not perfect, we're evolving. We should all be seeking guides on our journey. We should be looking for critical feedback. We should take an approach that my best days are out in front of me, and my present will eventually become my past. And so what am I doing right now that's going to unlock my performance 2, 3, 4 years from now? So the humble worker for us is a mindset. It's meant to eradicate entitlement from the building. Again, complacency. It's meant to open up and expose ourselves to the impact that other people can have on our journey. And then finally, we talk about being tough. And toughness for us is one small decision at a time. It's not big things, it's the little things. We talk about standards over circumstances, meaning, we're not going to change based off how we feel or based off things that we can't control. We are totally committed to a standard of operation, the highest possible operating standards, independent of our emotion or our feelings. And to give this in a 2-minute or a 5-minute response is one thing. This is 8 months of consistent messaging around those 3 concepts that over time you become, right? And I think 8 months ago, when I started talking about respect and appreciation, I don't know that we had a great feel for what that meant. As we were in our, we had Gildan, gear and no logos, and I think there wasn't an appreciation for, the fact that that was membership in the tribe. That outfit represented membership in something special. I think now we have a different perspective, and we understand a little bit about, where true confidence is delivered and how it's delivered, and again, this idea of being tough.
Coach, when we saw the video or videos from the last couple of weeks with the different players earning their numbers on different days and being awarded their numbers, you could see the appreciation. You could see the teammates celebrating their teammates' achievements and getting those numbers. And it appears from the outside view that the message is sinking in or has sunk in to those three pillars that you just described. And I can only think that that just brings a team together. I realize you've got outliers on every team, regardless of the coach's philosophies, but those guys are going to weed themselves out. So my question, I guess, going along those lines, on a day-to-day basis, it may be hard to see continual progress, but what do you and the coaches look for daily or weekly that shows that there is progress within the team unity, whatever those goals may be for that given time period?
There are small signifiers. I can tell you that, we haven't had anyone late yet in fall camp, and that may sound like, I mean, that's certainly not our standard, but I can tell you that, early on, there was that level of behavior we were dealing with. Guys didn't know how to show up on time. Guys didn't know how to, again, carry the standards to every corner of their lives. And so when you stop having to coach that kind of stuff and you start feeling yourself shift more into a competitive mindset, shift more into football, you're starting to get a team that has paid attention to the foundation. There's so many layers to this, Bernard, and I think it's, I think early on we set a goal for ourselves in the winter that we're going to be the best mentally and physically conditioned team in the country. That's kind of where we place our focus, and so that should be represented or reflected in the certain spirit that we bring to meetings, that we bring to practice, an energy level, an intentionality, that if you're just going through the motions, you can't, you really can't grasp that or grip it. But even within that, like, again, for these guys, what is, like, how do you learn to win? What winning becomes an attitude, it becomes a belief, but it's also a skill, because literally as a competitor, it's harnessing emotion for your gain, but never letting it tip you past your optimal zone. And so in practice, we're dealing with competitive moments where, maybe one side is having success and the other side isn't. Well, their instinct right now is to pull back, and if they're not having success, to make themselves small, they go silent. And when they are having success, it's the full force of celebration, as though the outcome's in hand. And to me, those are both signs of a team that's not mature enough yet to win, right? We have to understand that it's over 4 quarters that were measured, and the minute that some idea of the outcome being determined is in your mind, you have to crush it. I mean, you can't focus for a second both on an idea that we're out of the game or the game's in hand. And so you asked about signs of progress. I mean, that can be day to day. Yesterday we carried better spirit from start to finish. I could see in the moment, we've created drills and, kind of outside the box things that we're doing to try to generate this idea of learning how to win, learning how to compete. We talk about learning how to lose. And we say that from a standpoint of, I want to know the thrill of an all-out effort. I want to give I'm trying to absolutely bury my competition. And then afterwards, regardless of the outcome, I shake their hand, because we're going to have a respect for our opponent too. But part of that respect comes in unleashing our preparation in the moment, and knowing that feeling of imposing our will and of going at something really hard. But once you learn how to lose and you accept it as a possible outcome, you can play fearlessly. If I know how I'm going to respond in the worst of adversity, now I can put that on a shelf and box it up, and now just focus on actually cutting loose at the opportunity I have to go win a game. And so we have a long way to go. This is a slow process. We have certainly changed our personality. You see very encouraging signs of team unity and a brotherhood forming. But again, to build winning into the DNA of this program is going to take time, and it's going to take both learning how to handle success, but also learning how to deal with failure and not letting either one of those knock us off our course.
Harnessing the emotions and controlling the heart rates of 18 to 22-year-old athletes, I'm sure is not an easy task. It's probably like herding cats at times. But Coach, are you starting to see leadership step forward in the team within some of the players? Coach, you still there? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't know how much you heard, but about trying to control heart rates and emotions of 18 to 22-year-olds
I got that
can't be easy. But my question, I guess, is, are you starting to see leadership emerge within the team?
I am, and leadership. I said this the other night after practice, but I think like we have a lot of good guys on this team. There are a lot of good people, and we have some old players too. But being a good person and being old does not make you a leader. Not in this environment. Not with our goals and what we expect. And so what I'm looking for in leadership is, again, this tethering to standard, no matter the circumstances, this consistency in output and performance. When I say performance, I'm talking about competitive performance, not necessarily production, but just the idea that I am willing to expose myself every single day at my highest possible level. And there's something internal that's not allowing me to give anything else than my best effort. You're starting to see that grow within the team. And then there's a dynamic of personality that's also an interconnectedness that's growing as well. And we're manufacturing that also. We're setting up meeting time for these players to spend time together to talk about what they want to create here. And so leadership takes time. This team will have the lowest level of leadership of anyone that I'm coaching here, just by nature of the fact that it's all new. But certainly I do start to see kind of a nucleus of this team forming, and I'm excited about that.
Oh, we're all excited, Coach. We've got just a couple of more minutes. I sure appreciate your time. Midday of one of many busy days for you guys. Of course, I'm talking with head coach Clark Lea, and he's just sharing some of his philosophies and what's going on with the team. I've got just two more questions for you, Coach, and we'll get you out of here. First, I guess, of those two questions is, share a little bit of the importance of having some of your former teammates and former Vanderbilt Commodore football players on the staff, on the field, actually coaching, including what Earl Bennett is doing in the administrative offices. How important is that to the program, internally as well as externally?
It's huge. I mean, it's not. I didn't just want to fill the offices with bandy guys, but just for the sake of doing it. But to me, if I could find people that care deeply about this place, that believe in its potential, and I, for me, one of the biggest, and I knew this. I mean, I knew this growing up. I knew this when I was playing here, that if I ever got the chance to run this program, the number one task and challenge is to insulate it from the negative mindset that persists around it. Like there are a lot of people that will tell you what we can't accomplish at Vanderbilt and what is so important. And what I honor and do in honor of our players is I don't allow any of that language, mindset, approach to enter this facility. And so having a connection with past, having guys here that navigated this experience to a level of success, having people that care deeply, it's personal to them, Norval McKenzie, Javon Hay, those guys are just incredible Vanderbilt men who fight for this program. That's that's really meaningful. Earl Bennett, I didn't know Earl before. I hired him here. Obviously, we're connected through coaches and teammates, but what an unbelievable asset he is! What an incredible resource for our program. Maybe one of the best hires that I made was having Earl back on board, and someone who, again, not only has thrived as a student and now a professional, but here's a guy who left after 3 seasons of competition, who was drafted in the third round, who made a career in the NFL, who is the epitome of the humble worker, who has confidence and swagger, but knows that ultimately it's about his preparation level day in, day out. And this guy is, a mentor to every player on the team. It's incredible, Bernard. So I'm proud of those guys. I'm proud of that kind of, heartbeat we have here around Vanderbilt. But, the challenge is like, these guys know the program, they know the experience, and they're fighting for it every day, seeing the potential and not just, the cracks in the cup.
Coach, last question for you. You've got hundreds of former players from all decades who are follow the program. Many have become soured over the years for various reasons. Many others are hugely optimistic, have tons of enthusiasm, and are ready to jump back in and can't wait until our kickoff against ETSU. What can former players, regardless of how they feel about the program, who want to be part of the program, want to get back involved, want to be in the fold, what can we do to help support the program? What can we do to help support you and going forward?
Well, there are a number of things, obviously, that come with, the Gridiron Club, National Commodore Club, the things that financially support our program. Those are important. But I think right now, like in the infancy of this program, and in like, just as we get this to build, and I understand too, there are embittered, former players. I understand that, and I mean, some of those guys were my teammates, and I get it. The one thing that I just ask is that, that we show up, that, that the guys come out and support, that we open up to being a part of this community, that when there are alumni events in your area, or certainly here in Nashville, that you're willing to get out and get around the people, because both young alums and old alums need that level of connectivity. Just the idea that I know where our alums are and I know what they're doing empower me to connect our players to the Vanderbilt network, and specifically the Vanderbilt football network. And that is going to help us both in growing our team here as it is now. That is going to help us in recruiting the future of this program. And regardless of anyone's personal experience, or regardless of the things that maybe have turned someone off over the last however long, I think there needs just to be a belief in the potential here, and a belief in what Vanderbilt can do, what the experience here as a football player can do for someone long term in their life. And if you believe in that, then be willing to show up for it and go to bat for it, and be present with our team and support these guys. Independent of results this fall. And again, my job right now is I'm so in the moment with this team, just trying to grow and develop the habits that will unlock success down the road. But, these guys are sweating, bleeding, and crying in black and gold every single day. They're being pushed to levels that they have never been pushed before. And so I will try to get this group on the brink in fall camp, right? And this is, we're not pulling off the accelerator here. And so for them to feel supported through this is a huge emotional, psychological benefit. And so I just ask for former players and supporters to show up, to be present, to come by and watch practice, have fun with it. We loved having former guys back and around. Please feel free to do that. We have a scrimmage coming up this Saturday. We'd love for guys to come and watch and be around, meet our players, meet the team. get to know these guys on a personal level, because I think everyone would be proud to have these guys representing them. And it's my responsibility to keep growing this thing internally so that, the results follow as well.
I'm proud to call you my coach. I'm proud you're the shepherd, or you're the leader of our program, Coach. Thank you so much for your time, for your leadership, for your vision. We look forward to seeing you in weeks coming. And guys, remember, anchor down. Thank you,
Anchor
Coach.
down. Thanks, Bernard. Great to be with you.